What's up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. Brian and I are going to have a great show for you this Tuesday. Get you ready for the betting week. Brian, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I had the Sixers last night, but I was glad to lose that money on the Hawks, so I'm happy. And, man, if Embiid isn't right like he was in the second half, maybe we got a chance here because I was thinking my boys were done. So I'm good today.
Yeah, that was wild seeing Embiid. You know, his knee issue, they obviously severely came up in the second half, and we're going to break that down here in a minute. But, yeah, I mean, that changes the course of the series. If that thing, I mean, even if it's just at the level that it was last night, I mean, that's a big deal. But we'll jump into all that. Everybody, welcome in A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell, CBS Sportsline, alongside Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports Picks is brought to you every Tuesday and Friday by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Everyone, make sure to download that BetMGM app. When you do, use promo code A to Z 100. And today, if you bet $1 money line on either the Braves or the Phillies, and if either team hits a home run, you get $100 in free bets. Easiest bet that you can make. I've done it. I've used it. It works. BetMGM kicks that money to you in your account quickly. Make sure to do that. That's BetMGM, the king of sports books. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, all that said, Brian, we've had some great basketball, had some good games last night. We've got one good one tonight. It's good to see you, man. Let's jump right in. Let's make some bets. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Brian. First, tonight, we've got one NBA game. We've got the Bucks at the Nets. Series is tied 2-2. All right. Bucks, 4-point favorite, total of 218.5. Now, before you jump in, and I'm sure you're going to be all over this, here's just some notes in this game in terms of the total, betting the over-under. Okay. We've had 4 games. All 4 have hit the under. Okay. And if you total the amount of points that they've hit the under by, 136.5 points. Now, obviously, game 3 with a total of 235.5, and it ended at 169. That's going to skew the numbers for sure. But we've had a ton of unders in this. Are we looking at somewhere where it's to play the over tonight? What are your thoughts on the game?
Possibly. Well, we wake up this morning and the line was 4, Milwaukee -4 at Brooklyn, because late yesterday afternoon, word came out that Harden and Irving were already ruled out for tonight, a day ahead of time. But then this morning, Harden participated in shoot around. He's been upgraded from out to questionable. The line has moved from Milwaukee -4 to, and let me look right now. I looked like 15 minutes ago. It was down to -3 at some spots, excuse me, and -2.5 at others. And it looks like it still is right now. Our friends at BetMGM are down to 2.5. It actually looks like only one book I see is still at 3. So most books are down to 2.5. And I'm looking right now at some things on Twitter. It says Harden plans to play tonight, barring a setback. So he's going to warm up as if he's playing, so he might be back. But, however, not only is Irving out, he is out for the rest of this series. So what a turn of events, because when we were last on the air, or actually I think game 3 was Thursday, but, going into game 3 down 2-0, Brooklyn was like -450 for the series. Now, or at least this morning, Milwaukee was in the -175 range. I'm sure that's come down a little bit on this Harden news that he might play tonight. But, I mean, from Brooklyn being -450 to the Bucks -175, what a wild turn of events in this one. I think you're onto something with the over if Harden plays, but I don't think we're going to know till right up to tip-off.
Yeah, see, and, another question with that, like taking it one step further with Harden, I mean, even if he does play, I mean, we're looking at a short amount of minutes. It's not like he's going to go, an entire game. Or he might, but I mean, they're not going to just throw him out there, to possibly injure himself again. So, the question becomes not only for the spread, not only for the total, not only for props, things like that, like how much, and I'm asking you this, how much do you think Harden is a factor in the game tonight? And look, Kyrie being out for the series is massive. If they're down, Kyrie and Harden, I mean, I don't know if KD can carry this thing, but yeah, I mean, just back to the original question, even if Harden does play tonight, I mean, how much of an effect do you see him having on the game in general?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be rusty. I mean, it was game one. He went out in the first minute and change. And, it's been a hamstring. So it's not like you have a broken finger and you can be, working out and on the bike and not losing much cardio. I mean, he has not been able to keep up with his cardio. So he's got to be rusty. You would think if he plays, more than 25 minutes, he's going to get winded. And will he be effective? Who knows? But at least you'd have him out there and he'd be a decoy. And he is a great passer. So it would be a plus. But, yeah, is it enough to make us want to play the over when these scores have been getting so low? And that's just a great number, 136.5 combined points less. So right now, man, I'm on the sidelines for this one. But I got plenty of opinions on these other games we want to talk about.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And look, I'm not going to lie. I jumped on the over last night at 217.5. I feel pretty good with it, whether Harden plays or not. I think that we're going to see both teams putting up points. But again, historicals show you, in the series, it's been kind of crazy. But, we'll jump in another two games that we have tomorrow night. And look, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Brian.
I just wanted to interrupt you and tell you that it was a great job getting on that 217.5 because like the Milwaukee went from -4 to 2.5. The total is up to 220 or 220.5 with our friends at BetMGM. So you got a great number.
Yeah, I feel good about that. And I thought that it was going to go just because, that game 3 with such a low, scoring total, that they had. I think that, it could scare some people. But I saw the public was betting on the over and over and over. So I was like, you know what? Look, I'm going to jump on this early. Throw a little bit. I didn't go a full unit on it, but, just a little bit because I feel somewhat good with it. Now, tomorrow night, we've got two games. And look, both of these series are tied 2-2. Same thing, with the Bucks and the Nets. So first up, Wednesday night, we've got the Hawks at the 76ers. Last I saw, 76ers were a 6-point favorite. A total of 224. Again, that series is tied 2-2. Good win by the Hawks last night. We're going back to Philly. What are your thoughts here? And, another injury to talk about, Joel Embiid. He went, 0 for 12 from the field last night? Like, his knee is something there. Break this one down for us, Brian. What are you looking at?
Yeah, so the first 3 games, I've been saying this alleged partial tear of his meniscus because he has looked like the best, most dominant player in the NBA for 3 games. And, he was good in the first half. I mean, not as great as he's been, but he was good in the first half. But like you said, he goes 0 for 12 in the second half. He even said in his post-game interview that shot he missed down 1 with like 8-9 seconds left. He said normally he would go up and dunk that and get an and one, but he just didn't have the legs. And, he, to his credit, he wasn't making excuses, but he obviously was not the guy we had seen for 3.5 games. In the second half last night, he looked like a shell of his former self. In the first half, he went back to the locker room for a minute as if, he had tweaked it in some way. So if he's not right, the Hawks maybe have a shot here. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be very, very, imperative before you make a play to kind of get a feel, on where Embiid's going to be, because I mean that could affect big things. I mean, this is going to be a pivotal game 5. Not like, game 5s aren't pivotal, every time, but yeah, I mean that's a big one. Now, the second game that we have tomorrow night, we've got the Clippers at the Jazz. Jazz 2.5-point favorites, total 223. That series is tied 2-2 as well. What are you seeing out of that one? Do we see, the Clippers bring this thing back and just take control and run it in Utah? Do we see Utah jump up, to get that pivotal 3-2 lead in the series? How you feeling about that one? And I think you've got some notes and stats, on the NBA in terms of the futures of this series, winning the title. Feel free, please break those down for us as well.
Yeah, so I'm very bullish on the side and the total for Jazz Clips tomorrow night, and I'll save that for the second segment. But let me give out a bunch of numbers that I've got here. So the updated series price for the Jazz and Clippers: Jazz are -140, Clips +115. If you want to go Jazz, if you think the Jazz win back at home, and then go win Game 6 at Staples, you can go -1.5 to for a plus 300 payout for them to win in Game 6. If you think it's the opposite of that, if the Clips go into Salt Lake and win and then close them out at Staples, you can go Clippers -1.5 for a plus 275 return. So we've got 6 teams that are knotted at 2-2, and then we got Phoenix just chilling since when did they close Denver out? Saturday. So they were watching LA and Utah beat each other up last night while they've been in the clubhouse, if you will, for 48 hours, and that's just now getting to 2-2. They got a 3-game series to play out the rest of the way. So Phoenix is loving it. But despite that, and despite these injuries, and this may have changed a touch since the Harden news in the last hour or so, but even though Milwaukee was favored for the series, the Nets remained the favorites to win it all, with the thinking by the odds makers being if they survive this series, they'll be back whole with Kyrie and Harden for the next series, and that's why they're still the plus. Our friends at BetMGM have Nets plus 350 to win it all. The Bucks right behind them, along with Phoenix at plus 375. Then there's the Jazz plus 450, Clippers plus 550, 76ers plus 700, and the Hawks 50-1 long shots. Just real quick, I'll go down the odds to win Finals MVP with our friends at BetMGM. Durant, the plus 400 favorite. Then there's Giannis at plus 450, Donovan Mitchell plus 550, Booker plus 600, Kawhi plus 750, Embiid plus 800, CP3 plus 900, and Paul George and Gobert 16-1, Harden 25-1. Keep in mind, Kawhi seemed to tweak his knee last night. Now he stayed in the game, but then with I want to say at the next timeout, a few possessions later, Doc took him out. Granted, they were up by like 12-ish, 14 maybe, with like 4.5 minutes left. He didn't go back in, but in his post-game interview, he said he'd be fine. So there's just a few numbers. Anything on that MVP stand out to you, Alan? I think Booker at plus 600 might be somewhat enticing.
Yeah, Booker's not bad at all. I'll say this. Looking at the NBA playoffs as a whole, it looks like we're getting into a battle of attrition, right, and injuries. And you know who's the only team not having to deal with that because they close things out? The Suns. Like Chris Paul at plus 900. I mean, again, like, excuse me, it's like, it's not like he's, LeBron James, like Kevin Durant in terms of, doing every single thing. I think that this Suns team is built very well, but that's a nice little pick, man. Like, I would throw a little bit on that just to see it,
He did have 17 assists and no turnovers in Game 3 against Denver. And if it's close between him and Booker, you got to think the voters might give it to CP3 out of a kind of a career appreciation.
100%. I agree 1,000% with that. Like that's really why I would put it on there. So yeah, I kind of like that one at all. Now jumping in, excuse me, to my favorite segment, what we call two for the money. We're going to take a look the games. Let's throw down 2 plays. That's it. That's all you've got. You got to go with 2. Brian, I'll go first since I've made you kind of break down the entire NBA playoffs there, gives you a rest there on talking. I've got 2 games today that I'm going to play. And honestly, I think both of these are really more of the spot because they're going against good teams. But the first one, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm going to take them the minus 180 money line. It's a heavy price. But again, look, Tampa hasn't lost back-to-back playoff games, and they haven't lost back-to-back home games all season. I do not think that they're going to go down 0-2 to the Islanders, even though the Islanders are a phenomenal hockey team. And, the total here is interesting. It sits at 5. Again, I think that we see somewhat of a scoring game tonight, but anytime the Islanders are involved, dude, the under is generally the play because they just kind of choke you out. But you look at the Islanders, they're 60-19 straight up playing on the road this season. I think this is just a really good spot for the Lightning to bounce back. And the second game, I'm going to jump right back on the Chicago White Sox, left-handed pitcher. They're 32-5 straight up, their last 37. They're going against the Rays. They're at home. I'm just going to play the spot on this one. Now, here's the interesting part. The Rays are pretty good against left-handed pitchers as well. So you're looking at a game with a total of 8.5. It might be a decent play to hit the over on this one. I think both teams come out hitting, but I'm just going to ride the historicals on this one. It's been paying out very, very nicely all year. No reason to stop now. So yeah, I'm going to go with Chicago White Sox money line and Tampa Bay Lightning money line. Brian, what are you going with, buddy?
Okay, so our friends at BetMGM have Utah -2.5, and the total is 221.5 for tomorrow night's critical Game 5 back in Salt Lake City. I like both of these a lot, but let me tell you, if you agree with me on over 221.5, go get it now, because it looks like most other books are at 222 and even a few 222.5. It's only BetMGM and one other book that are still at 221.5. So I like it over. The first three games, we had 221, 228, and 238. And then last night, we hit 222. It was looking over. If you were looking at the in-game line, it was on pace to go over the whole way. Like most of the in-game lines for the total were in the 230s for the most part. And just had a late fourth quarter. You know, they put the scrubs in with like 2.5, 3 minutes left. Utah missed a couple of free throws. So we just missed the over last night, unfortunately, by one. But that gives me more confidence coming back with it tomorrow night, where I think like Ingles and O'Neal and Clarkson, the fringe players, will shoot better from three. We still don't know about Conley, but if he's able to get back, and, you know, he actually is on a better timetable than Harden. He hurt his hamstring in Game 5 against Memphis, which I'm nearly certain was a day or two or maybe even more before Brooklyn-Milwaukee Game 1. So hopefully Conley will be back. I don't know anything to make me think that for sure, but that would be a boost if so, and I like it regardless. So the over, and then I also like Utah at home. Depending on what number you got, you either pushed or maybe even won on Game 1 with Utah, and unless you got 3.5 really early, and then they obviously won, and covered Game 2, and they go to LA. LA is in desperation mode. They take care of their business, but I don't think Utah's confidence is shaken. In fact, they played pretty good in the second half last night and kind of got back in it slightly compared to being down whatever they were, like almost 30 at one point. So I'm gonna go with Utah back at home. Donovan Mitchell will be great like he has been. I don't think that Marcus Morris is going to be on fire like he was last night. And I think, again, the fringe players like Ingles, Clarkson, O'Neal, I think they'll shoot it better from three. And I think Utah wins. But for money management purposes, I think I like the over a little bit more, but I like them both a lot.
Nice. I like that. Now, switching gears for just a moment, the state of Tennessee is represented heavy in the College World Series. All right, we've got Vanderbilt, we've got Tennessee, both in it. Down to the final 8 teams. Action starts this weekend. You've got in bracket 1, you've got NC State versus Stanford, and you've got Arizona versus Vanderbilt. Both of those games will play Saturday. And on Sunday, you've got bracket 2, Virginia versus Tennessee, and Mississippi State versus Texas. So I say all that to say this. We had some opening futures odds come out last night, and these are to win the College World Series. So I'm just going to quickly go through these. Vanderbilt is your leader at plus 235. Tennessee, second, plus 330. Texas, third, plus 400. Arizona, plus 625. Mississippi State, fifth, plus 850. Stanford, plus 1,000. NC State, plus 1,200. Virginia, plus 1,400. So I say all that to say this. When you start looking at these games and you look at the College World Series, understand TD Ameritrade Park is a larger park than what a lot of these kind of home fields, are used to. The ball doesn't carry as far. Teams that rely on the home run, you don't have as many. So pitching obviously is very, very important in the College World Series. So if you're looking at these, and Brian, I'll kick it over to you. I'll make my picks first. In terms of betting the futures, if you're going to take Vanderbilt as the favorite at plus 235, you could essentially put money on 2 teams and still come out profitable. I like playing any combination of Vanderbilt and Tennessee, Vanderbilt and Texas, Vanderbilt and Arizona. Arizona's a much better team. Mississippi State is a better team than people think. So kind of what are your thoughts here? What are you going to roll with? I'm going to go with Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Both of them. I think that both teams really are that good, and we could have a nuclear war in the national championship, which would be phenomenal. But yeah, I'm going to go with Vanderbilt and Tennessee. I'm going to play both kind of against each other. What are you thinking, buddy?
Man, when you were giving those numbers out Friday, and I had seen some things on Twitter about these two stud Vandy pitchers. Full disclosure, I know nothing about college baseball. You can't even bet on it until this time of year or like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I don't really follow it. I don't know anything about it. But, I mean, I used to bet it. And when you told me how big of studs these two pitchers were, I was thinking, like, man, I should grab Vandy at plus 400 last week. Now they're plus 235. But it seems like these two stud pitchers, with one of them being Outlighter's son, it seems like they got a great chance to win their first 2 games. That would put them in great shape. So if I did anything, I know it's boring, but I would do the favorite. And again, I don't know anything about it, but I know Mississippi State has got a great history with their program. And maybe if I would do a second one, it would be them at plus 850. But I know nothing about college baseball. It'd be like throwing darts.
No, I mean, that's not a bad play. And you're right. I mean, those two pitchers that Vanderbilt has, Kumar Rocker, being their ace, and Jack Leiter, being – they're the 2 best pitchers in the country. I mean, they're just phenomenal. You look at what they did against ECU this weekend in the National Regional. Think about this. Vanderbilt was already in the College World Series before Tennessee played its first game. Right? Like, now that has to do with the schedule, when these games played. But, like, it just goes to show you. Like, Kumar Rocker came out
too, right?
What'd you say?
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Their pitchers have gotten extra rest because of that?
Yeah. Like, they're going to be money. Like, Vanderbilt won Friday 2-0. Kumar Rocker was phenomenal. Vanderbilt wins 4-1 on Saturday with Jack Leiter. He was phenomenal. Like, these guys will just choke you out. Really the only team that got to Jack Leiter was Tennessee. They're really the only baseball team that really lit him up. So honestly, I like your pick, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. That's solid. NC State is a really good team as well. Like, I think any of these 8 teams can win it. It's a big deal to win that first game. So moving to that, I did some research here, and you take a look at the last 4 years of the College World Series, because you could go back all the way to 1947, but no need to do that. You look at the last 4 years of the opening games, okay? So we're talking about 16 games in total. The average run total between both teams is 7.1 runs. And think about this. When you looked at Vanderbilt kind of at lines and totals that they've had since the regional, they're generally around 8.5 because their pitching is so good. Tennessee sits generally around 10.5. So you're looking at average run games in the first opening games of the College World Series, 7.1 runs. Now, 3 of the last 4 seasons featured a game where one team won 1-0. All right. All 4 seasons featured a game with a shutout. So you had 3 that were 1-0 games. You had one, Florida was this team. They won 3-0 or 3-0. So you've seen a shutout in the opening games every single year the last 4 years. Now, I'll also give you this. So looking at the last 4 years of College World Series of these opening games, talking about 16 games, 12 of them were 9 runs or fewer. 7 of them were 6 runs or fewer. So be careful on those. When you see these pop up, you'll see, kind of game spreads, probably populate Thursday, maybe Friday. And look, Vanderbilt and Tennessee are both going to be favored in their games. Vanderbilt against Arizona, Tennessee against Virginia. The money line is probably going to be somewhere around minus 140 to 180. And again, totals will probably be 7 to 8 for Vanderbilt, probably 9 to 10.5 for Tennessee. Now, think about this. Both of these teams, Tennessee and Vanderbilt, this is both their 5th appearance in the College World Series historically. Okay. Tennessee, in their opening game, in the last, 4 that they've been in, 5th included being this year, Tennessee's 1-3. Vanderbilt, 4-0. They've never lost in an opening game in the College World Series. They finished 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 1st. They're looking to go. We didn't have a College World Series in 2020. So technically, Vanderbilt's looking to go back-to-back. And they've got the pitchers and the horses to do it. So that's just kind of some information. We'll break it down on Friday when we have actual, kind of lines for these games. But just take a look. Vanderbilt, historically, in the first game, the opening game of the College World Series, it's been pretty good. Now, our last segment. My favorite segment that we just started doing the last couple shows, what we call Pick Your Prop or Parlay. What we want to do, Brian, I'm going to kick it to you and everyone that is watching as well, whether you're in the chat, you're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, wherever you're at, you are in this part as well. We need to get yours. And how we play this game is this. Pick your proper parlay. I'm going to give you 8 props or a parlay. Okay, so they're kind of all mixed in here. I'm going to give you 8 options. You have to pick at least one. You could pick more if you want, but you have to pick at least one. So, Brian, everybody tuning in, if you guys are ready, I'll list these out, and then you guys give me your best one, okay? First, Bucks first to score 20 points tonight, minus 135. Kevin Durant to score 40-plus points, plus 230. Giannis to record 15-plus rebounds, plus 140. Nets to win by 6 to 10 points, has to fall in that range, plus 525. Drew Holiday to make 3+ three-pointers, plus 180. Chris Middleton to record a double-double, plus 350. Kevin Durant to record 2+ blocks, plus 110. And the last one, Giannis to record 2+ steals at plus 275. So I read all those. Brian, everybody, you could pick more than one, but you got to pick at least one. Who are you going with?
I got 2. Okay, I'm going to go with Chris Middleton to record a double-double for a nice plus 350 payout. He has had 3 of these in the last 5 games. He had in the closeout game 4 against Miami, he had 20 points, 11 boards. Then in game 1 against Brooklyn, he had 13 points and 13 boards. And in game 3 against Brooklyn, he had 35 points and 15 boards. So that's my favorite one and a nice payout. And then I'll go with Durant to get 2 blocks or more at plus 110. He has done that 3 times in the playoffs, games 3 and 4 against Boston and game 1 against Milwaukee. So those are my 2. Durant, 2 blocks. 2 blocks and plus 110, and Middleton double at plus 350.
I love it. I've actually got 3. 2 of them are the exact ones you just said. Going with Middleton double. I like that, plus 350. Going Durant 2+ blocks, plus 110. I like that one. Also, Giannis 2+ steals, right? Like I kind of dig this one at plus 275 because you look at where this team is, the Nets in terms of who might be playing, who might not be playing. Like I could see it getting a little weird here. I'm going to roll with that one. And it's just because it's not like, my man is Gary Payton the glove out here, but he could play. And I mean, I could possibly see that one. So I'm playing that one as a little bit more of just kind of fun. But yeah, I'm with you on Middleton. I'm with you on Durant. Our man Damon Boswell says he's going with KD points, Drew's threes, KD blocks. Yeah, that KD block, man, like I like that one a whole lot. Like that's a solid one, especially when it's only 2 or more, you only have to get to 2. Like I could definitely see that happening. So anybody, listening, watching, let us know, who you're rolling with, who your picks are, because this is, a lot of different options that you have on the table. It's a lot of fun. And there is money to be made. I mean, when you see these odds of where they're at. So before we end the show, Brian, kick us back. Our 2 for Tuesday. What are your 2 plays? Who are you rolling with?
Over 221.5 Clippers, Jazz, and our friends at BetMGM have it at 221.5. Go get it soon, though, if you agree with me, because most of the other books are at 222. Also, like Utah, minus 2.5. And then on the props, KD 2 blocks and the double-double for Middleton at plus 350.
I love it. All right. Yeah, I'm going with your 2 that you said there, plus Giannis with 2 steals. But my 2 plays, I'm going with Tampa Bay money line, minus 180. Again, haven't lost back-to-back at home all year. And I'm also going with the Chicago White Sox, 32-5 straight up. It's last 37 against left-handed pitchers. Take a look at that total. That might be a play for you as well. But I'm going to ride the White Sox. So White Sox money line, Tampa Bay Lightning money line, those 2 for tonight. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure, let us know what your plays are, your picks, your 2 for Tuesday, your proper parlays. Let us know, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. We want to hear what those are. Let's all track those tonight. And the most important thing, let's cash some tickets.
Y'all tune into Austin at mini camp here in a minute.
Yeah, he's got some great Titans coverage for you. Julio Jones out there. I think they're going to have everybody there. So, yeah, it's going to be nice. But, yeah, everybody, have a great one. Let's make some money.